my son is crying. He's with his grandfather right now, so I'm debating on whether I should stop this early and go check on him or not. Hello, everyone. My name is Second Chance Barlow. That is just a name that I have chosen for my in-ring pro wrestling character. But Barlow is my real last name, so we're just going to go with it and have fun with it. The reason I chose Second Chance as my wrestling name is because this is my second chance at life, and I'm choosing pro wrestling as the medium to express myself and tell my story. Pro wrestling is very important to me. It's one of those things where it just feels different from everything else that I do. It feels unique. It's like it combines a lot of my interests into one, like music and comedy, sports, drama. All of that and more can be combined together into professional wrestling. I love professional wrestling. I wanted to talk about that in my first podcast because it's that important to me. To start, I got introduced to professional wrestling as a kid. You see, I was born in 1990, and when I was 9 years old, I think, I was first introduced to the WWF. Back when they had an F. Now they have an E. So back when they had an F, I remember flipping through the channels and I saw this very sensational video of this restaurant camera of two old ladies beating the snot out of some guys. And I thought it was fun. And then it cuts to a WWF ring or the entrance ramp to one of their shows. And the old women were the Fabulous Moolah and Mae Young. And you see these two women walking down the ramp to the ring to the song Taking Care of Business by Bachman Turner Overdrive. Now that means something to me because Bachman Turner Overdrive is one of the bands that my dad listened to in the car. My dad is a classic rock fan. And the song Taking Care of Business, I've heard a lot in his car. So I made that connection with what I heard to what I was looking at. And then I just kept on watching. And I enjoyed watching the show. And the more I watched, whether it was Friday Night SmackDown or Monday Night Raw. Okay, I don't remember what day SmackDown was on, but I just remember liking SmackDown a lot. And also, as often as I could watch Raw, I just fell in love with the product. My favorite wrestler during this time was Kane. Now, I liked Kane because Kane is the younger brother, and I'm the youngest of 5 boys. So I can relate to being the younger brother. Kane is this large, dominant monster who everybody fears and respects. Now, I had a very bad, and in some ways I still have, very low self-esteem. And I wished that people would respect me, but most people didn't. And even though this is very unhealthy, I was thinking, well, if people can't respect me, then they should fear me. That never happened because I was a goofy, gangly, awkward, skinny weirdo. So Kane represented a fantasy for me. And I could live vicariously through that fantasy by watching him on TV. Kane wasn't the only guy I liked watching. Some of the guys I also liked watching during this period of time were Rikishi, Scotty 2 Hotty, and Mankind. Excuse me. During this time, this was the Attitude Era, so WWF was very popular. And a lot of their superstars were very unique and stood out. And for me, I like the guys who are different, the guys who are weird, the guys who stand out, the guys who don't fit the mold. And those 3 wrestlers I mentioned fit that perfectly. Rikishi was entertaining because he did the stink face. And he was also this big fat guy who was very athletic and very cool, in my opinion. Scotty 2 Hotty was a guy I could personally relate to because I was a small kid and he was a small guy compared to everyone else on the roster. And he was goofy, he was silly, and he had a great move called the Worm. I learned how to do the Worm from watching Scotty 2 Hotty. And then there was Mankind, who was a monster, but he was also entertaining. Now, I would make people laugh, and I didn't understand why, but I would still make people laugh, and Mankind made people laugh. But he was still a dominant character, so it was fun for me to watch him as well. Now, just give me a sec. I'm going to lower the gain on my thingamajiggy so that... Hold on. I'm recording this via Audacity for the audio, and I just was adjusting the gain so that it wouldn't be too loud. So I was talking about Mankind, and now, after a while, because I grew up in a very conservative Christian home, my sect of Christianity is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And my home was very conservative. My parents didn't like the Attitude Era because it was very inappropriate. So I had to watch it in secret. But after a time, I started feeling guilty watching it, so I stopped watching. But then, the Chris Benoit tragedy happened. This was when I was a teenager in high school. And this was before we found out the details of the tragedy. Before the details of the tragedy came out, WWF, now WWE, made this collection of videos of these interviews of WWE superstars. And the one talking about Chris Benoit, again, this was all before the tragedy, and they were saying positive things about him. The one that stood out to me the most was John Cena. The reason it stood out to me is because it felt very professional, very sincere, and it reminded me a lot of the way that the church leaders in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints give talks at General Conference or at church on Sundays. So I made that connection. So I watched the show after watching the John Cena interview. And I don't remember if this guy was on this particular episode, but this guy made me a fan again. And the guy that made me a fan again was Umaga. Now, for those who don't know, Umaga is a Samoan wrestler from the Anoa'i family. And Umaga is a monster. The reason I'm looking off right now is because my son is crying. He's with his grandfather right now, so I'm debating on whether I should stop this early and go check on him or not. But if he keeps crying, I am going to go check on him and stop this early, because no matter what, my family comes first. I'm also just trying to find the balance between things I like to do and want to do, and find that balance with taking care of my family. Okay, it looks like that my son is calming down a little bit. You know, I think I'm going to end this now, and I'll see you on the next podcast. Thanks for your time, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye.